I tried it and I saw what worked, what didn't work. And I did find that like, you can't do everything, where they're like, you need to have a blog, you need to have a Twitter, you need to have a Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. And like, I was trying to do that. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, okay, what speaks to me? I was like, Twitter doesn't speak to me.
Michelle Citrin, welcome to Lessons Via Leaders.
Thank you for having me, Will.
Of course. Happy to have you. Happy to have you. So want to talk to you today about building a brand online. You've done an incredible job with that.
Thank you.
Admired all the hustle and work you've put into building it.
Thank you.
Real quick, before we get into all that good stuff, can you give like a quick intro and your background and what you do?
Sure.
Yep.
So what do I do? I've been in business.
You do a lot.
Yeah, I do a lot. I've been in business for 10 years now by myself as a solopreneur.
Yep.
I started a portrait photography studio right out of college in Wynwood, Miami.
In the Wynwood Lofts.
In the Wynwood Lofts before it was cool.
We had David Lombardi on the show.
I saw that. So, and so I'm a portrait photographer, and then I've just branched out as a real estate agent in Asheville, North Carolina. And I just do it all myself and market and hustle. And so,
That's awesome. I mean, a true solo entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
Like you don't have anybody else on your team, but like you're doing.
I have other people on my team, and I now have more support.
Right.
But the marketing and branding
It's all you.
and most of the hustle and everything's me. But then thankfully I do have a good support system. I have a studio manager who helps me. I have a retoucher that helps me. I have makeup artists. And then once real estate starts taking off even more, I'm already like ready to get an assistant. I was like,
you need
to have help.
You need a good support team, especially you're doing both. You're doing the photography stuff and you're doing the real estate stuff. You're living in both those worlds. They kind of intersect at times, right?
They do. I think marketing and branding, you're attracting people to you in both ways and staying professional in both ways. And,
for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I think you've done an incredible job building your personal and professional brand online. Like every time I see you and like how you position yourself and just how you brand and market yourself, I think is amazing.
Thank you.
How did you go about doing that? That's not something that just people know, they don't roll out of bed and just know how to market themselves. Like, how did you learn and start that process?
You don't know. Well, so I graduated college in 2009.
Yep.
I mean, Facebook, I was on Facebook for 2 years. It was like right off the cusp. I got on like in
when it was just for colleges and stuff.
07. And then, I started my own studio and everyone says, oh, you need to have your niche market. Right out of college, I was like, how do you know what your niche is? So for 2 years, I really did a little bit of everything. But then once you find what you love and what you align with is where then I was like, okay, I need to market this. But then what I found was with 2009, I was at the cusp of all this technology, the blogs and the newsletters.
Right.
And so anything I found that was working for other people or that I heard was like the next best thing and this is what you need to be doing, I tried it. And I saw what worked, what didn't work. And I did find that like you can't do everything, where they're like, you need to have a blog, you need to have a Twitter, you need to have a Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. And like, I was trying to do that. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, okay, what speaks to me? I was like, Twitter doesn't speak to me. Like, I just don't resonate
Not about
with
the
Twitter.
tweeting,
Blogging I could do on the web, the website, but newsletter spoke to me. Facebook spoke to me.
Yep.
Instagram I got on later. And now that they're interconnected, it makes it much easier.
Sure.
But I just found like, by doing.
Yeah, definitely. So. Hey, you talked about finding your niche. I think that's super important, right? A saying that I often say on this show is you don't want to be a mile wide and an inch deep, right? You want to pick something, hyper focus on it and go real deep on that. How did you pick your niche? And then if people are listening and they want to start being like a specialist in something, maybe they can get some of those lessons from it. How did you find yours?
How did I find my niche? It was really by doing and by trying everything. And then finding what I liked and what I really didn't like. But also then finding what do you want to do? And you're like, what would my dream scenario be? Like, who are the clients I want to work with? What's the demographic I want to work with? What do I relate to? So for me, specifically for my studio, I work with women in business. And I do headshots for women in business. And after shooting 3 weddings, I was like, heck no. Like, I do not need to shoot another wedding. I shot a couple newborn sessions and I was like, I still don't think this is for me. And then, I did some big budget productions and fashion productions. And I just was like, this isn't for me. I like working with women. I like helping their businesses and I can relate to that. And I can stand behind, branding and headshots for women because it's going to help their business. It's going to help them grow their businesses.
Right.
So for me, it took years though. It didn't take, overnight. And same thing with real estate. I'm now developing my niche, but it's like, you have to find what speaks to you and what you want to be working on and where you want to help people.
That makes sense. It's like you can't like initially like hypothesize what the niche is going to be.
Exactly.
Right? You can't like say, I want to do this, I want to focus on that, because that's kind of inorganic, right?
Yeah.
You want to try a bunch of different things, and then you'll kind of find what
unless
speaks to
you have something that you love and you're
Right.
like, I'm only going to be, I'm only going to do this one thing.
Sure.
Like people are like, I love landscape photography and that speaks to me.
Or street photography.
It's like, then do that, do it well, do it hard, market it.
Right.
And don't take. So also the thing is, you don't need to take these other jobs that come in that don't speak to you and that don't resonate with you.
That's a great point. A lot of people will take every job that comes to them.
Exactly.
Right. They can't say no. Mm-hmm. And that is a disservice to you and to the client. Right.
Yep. Because then you're not an expert in that field.
Right.
And you're just because you're taking it just because you need to pay the bills. Every no is one step closer to that perfect yes.
Right, exactly.
So it's just a numbers game.
Yep.
So it is scary when you're like, okay, I'm going to say no. My father said this to me where he's like, he said, well, what do you mean you're not going to do bar mitzvahs anymore? I'm like, I ain't shooting bar mitzvahs anymore. It's not happening. I'm like, I don't enjoy it. It's too high pressure, doesn't speak to me, and I'm just not having fun. And he's like, well, what if, your old clients call you for their second kid? I'm like, I'm going to have to refer them out.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
He thought I was crazy. But I had room in my schedule for the clients I really wanted to work with.
Right. Exactly. So, there's an opportunity cost to saying yes to not your ideal clients, right? Because you're fully booking your calendar for things that
you don't want to be doing.
Exactly. No, that makes a lot of sense. That's good advice. So building your brand online, you've done a great job with it because like you're consistent, you're posting your stuff like all the time. You have you found your brand identity and you know how to market it, you know how to position it. You're using social media a lot for that, Facebook, Instagram, etc. A lot of people, like I talk to a lot of people who need to start building their own personal brand. They want to build their personal brand, but they're afraid to put themselves online. There's a lot of things I'm sure that come across their mind, whether they're
fear.
Fear,
the way you look, the way you sound,
being judged.
That's
a big one, I think,
being
right?
judged. They don't want people to judge them.
Right.
And I don't have a huge following, but I have a small and mighty following.
Yeah.
So I'm attracting the people that do want to work with me. And I'm, my Facebook friends that I have, I'm just constantly growing it by people I meet, people that inquire about my work. And so I guess what was your question? How did you initially have the fear of putting yourself out there? Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How did you get past that?
Well, 10 years ago when I started my business, I refused to be on video. I was like, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound.
That's surprising because you're so natural on video now.
But that's taken 10 years of 10 years of just doing it.
Right.
And I think a good train of thought is to say, you do your marketing list and you go, wow, I really should do Facebook Live, or wow, I really should post selfies because selfies sell. No matter what you're selling, people want to see you behind the brand.
Right.
So really you need to post behind the scenes selfies and pictures of you and things like that. They want to see you.
Yeah, because it's a human connection to the brand. It's not just a logo.
It's not just a logo. It's not just a website. And so I always believe that if I have a gut feeling, oh, I don't really want to do this, but it's on my to-do list and it's on my vision board for my brand or my to-do list for my brand, then I know if I have that gut feeling, it's like I need to do it. Like if I have the gut feeling that I don't want to do it, then I'm scared to do it. So it's
so your fear is like your compass to if you should do it or not.
Yes. So it's, and you have to listen to your intuition when it comes to other things. But if it's something that's going to benefit your business, okay, I need to get out of my comfort zone and just do a Facebook Live for the first time. And it's okay to say, and it's okay to stumble. And I just had I had a coaching session with a client of mine, and I was telling her that, you just need to go out and do it. And I said, if you watch my videos, I say a lot. Sometimes I have to look at my notes. She's like, no, but that's so natural and so authentic. And I was like, in me, I criticize it. And I say, wow, I wasn't perfect that time. But I have a theory too that, perfectionism is a form of procrastination. Things do not need to be perfect. And you don't know how many times I have gotten friends and people that have reached out to me said, oh, you had a spelling error on that Instagram post. And I was like, okay,
Yeah,
like,
I'm
thanks
human.
for reading.
I'm
Like,
human.
okay, I'll fix it. And then I had somebody else, I have had a couple people write back to my newsletters and they say that too. Like, oh, you have a grammar error. And I was like, okay, awesome. But it's already gone out to the stratosphere. Like, I can't take it back, but it's okay. It went out and you're reading it.
That's an indicator that they're A, paying attention, and B, that there's a human being behind the
Yes,
brand.
like it's
right?
not, I'm not, I am not hiring a firm to do this for me, and I'm trying to do it all. But yeah.
It goes back to one of my favorite quotes. Everything that's worth it in life is on the other side of fear. Everything you want in life is on the other side of fear. And I definitely subscribe to that. One of the reasons I'm doing this podcast is a challenge to myself to put myself out there. Like, this does not come naturally to me whatsoever. Yeah. But I want to try. This is something that, initially, like, kind of being on camera, recording things on microphones that could potentially live forever online. That kind of stuff scares me, but you know what? It's worth it, because I feel like if I could help a select number of people, even if it's not the majority number of people that listen, but even if there's a handful of people that listen and get some value out of it, I think it's worth it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's part of social media is in this like-driven culture where everything's like metric-based. You wonder, like, okay, how many likes did this post get? How much engagement does this post get? But it's really not about that, right? It's about like how many people could you impact? And let's say you have a number of followers, even if you got 5 people that resonated with the message, it's still worth it, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's where it comes down to knowing your brand.
Right.
So when it comes to social media, you have to ask yourself, what is my brand and what's on message with my brands? I always recommend you write down your top 3 words for your brands. Like, what is it? It's authentic, it's engaging, it's empowering. That's, for my brand. And then you have to ask yourself when you post things, and you should post things that are about your real life and behind the scenes and, make it real for people, but then ask yourself, is this on brand?
Does your personal life and your professional life have to tie into the same brand? Do you need, for example, folks like you, like Ben, right, that are really, promoting themselves online? Is it important to not be overly promotional? Is there a balance between sharing stuff that's going on in your day-to-day life?
Of course.
Right? Because you don't want to be selling the entire time.
Well, you don't want to be selling the whole time. And it doesn't work because in our culture now, the pushing and the selling doesn't work well anymore.
Right, because everybody's doing it.
Those auto sales techniques, used car salesman techniques don't work anymore. So you want to, it's attraction marketing. So you want to attract people into your life, but into a way that they like you and they trust you, because it takes many touches. They say it takes 7 touches before somebody trusts you enough or even remembers what service you offer or what product you sell before you build that trust to even want to buy from you. So you want to not, push, and every post you do is sale, sale, sale. I try to stick to like the 80-20 rule. 80% is life behind the scenes, uplifting, inspiring, fun, beautiful quotes. Then 20% is, hey guys, work with me, or hey,
I have a shoot coming up.
I have these dates available, or hey, I have these appointments available, or here's the new listing I have. These are the things, but like, you keep it light and airy and inspiring because you want people to tune in. And you want them to watch you and to observe you and to remember you. The whole point is that you become top of mind.
Right.
And you don't become top of mind by pushing people to buy from you. You become top of mind by attracting people to you, by being likable and fun and uplifting.
That makes a lot of sense. So talk to the people out there that, again, are scared to put themselves out there. Like, what would you say to them that, again, they have pictures of themselves they want to post, they want to talk about their brand to their followers? So I would say, ask yourself, who is the most important person to you and in your life? Who is the most important person, do you think, in your life right now? Well, I mean, you have kids, so you're a little different. But 9 times out of 10, or I'm the most important person in my life. Even my poor husband, I'm always thinking about me. But it's us. Like, I'm the most important person in my life. Yep. I think about myself the first minute I wake up, and we think about how this affects us. So the truth is, when you are putting content out there, first of all, not everyone's seeing it. Only a small percentage of people are seeing it. Due to the algorithms.
And that's why you have to post consistently and post a lot. So you're not bothering people by posting a lot. And then also,
people think that, though. People think I'm bombarding people.
And you're not. And then when people are scrolling and they're looking, they're just thinking about themselves. Either how can this person help me?
You're not the star of their movie.
You're not, exactly.
You know?
And when you overthink about yourself, like, oh, my hair doesn't look good in this, or I sound funny, or I said a lot, or I've got a pimple on my face in that selfie, let me tell you, people are scrolling so quick and they're worried about themselves. So you have to take yourself out of it and just like be okay with like sharing and promoting yourself, because most people don't really care.
You think you posted and everybody's judging you. They literally scrolled past it in 2 seconds.
And the truth is, if you attract the right people to you, it could be either with, you know, your hashtags or the content you're promoting. And if you're speaking truly to yourself and to who you are,
that's all that matters, right?
You're going to attract, and you're going to attract the people that are going to like that.
Yeah.
Like my mom loves Instagram and she follows all these bloggers and everybody about influencers, but they are all about gardening and uplifting and crafting. Like that's who my mom follows and she loves it.
Nicole loves, obviously the mom bloggers, and also she follows a ton of accounts that go to Costco and finds like deals on, like, Costco.
On the day.
Yeah,
so people are looking for things they want to follow.
Exactly.
So if they're following, it's interest based. So if they're following you, then they're already engaged. They want to see what you're posting. They want to see you, and really 9 times out of 10, they're not going to judge. They're not going to troll.
Right. And there's a transition period of, you have to start marketing to your circle, your friends and family, to start finding that niche audience, right? So you can't be afraid to do that, because that you have to kind of
and I have a pretty good following on Facebook. I love Facebook.
Yeah,
because
Facebook seems to be your jam.
Man, it's and
versus Instagram, which is like the trendier.
Instagram's great. I get a couple clients from there and a couple leads from there, and people find me from Instagram, which is amazing. But it takes a little bit longer to develop that relationship because they don't know me. Facebook is great because if you are, say you live and work where you do want to build your brand, you go out to networkers, you meet people. And the old way was you'd get their business cards, you add them to your newsletter, and you send them an email. Right. The new way for me is to add them to my newsletter list, but then immediately friend them on Facebook. And then I'm building that, and they've met me, and I always send them a message because the algorithm works too, where it's like, oh, Facebook has connected us and we're friends now.
Gotcha.
And they see my posts and they follow me and they like me, but it takes months, maybe years before someone is ready to work with me.
That's true. You make a good point, Michelle. So like, you know, the algorithms these days, you can't just friend someone on Facebook and think they're going to get your content. You actually have to put in the work, not just friend them, send them a message, connect with them online, right?
Be friendly, have a conversation.
Be friendly, because then Facebook will be like, okay, there is an authentic connection there. I'm going to bump up you know, the content and the algorithm. That's a great point. Another thing about Facebook, which I see you use very effectively, is there's a compounding network effect in the algorithm that you don't get that benefit on Instagram, where if you mention someone or tag someone in the post.
All about the tags. You notice my tags.
Yeah, well, you're a tagaholic, and I love that.
I'm a tagaholic because when I work with you, you are now, I have just reached your sphere.
Right, exactly.
So like I have worked with you, whether it's, you know, I've photographed you, or I'm, you know, I had a meeting with you for real estate. I'm going to tag you and say, hey, just had a lunch with you, or I share your photo from the photo shoot.
Right, exactly.
And I tag you, and all of a sudden
their network sees it.
Their network has seen it, and I get 200 likes on that photo, and then I get 5 inquiries.
Exactly.
So, and that's a great way. And then those 3 people friend request me, and it just starts, it snowballs. So Facebook's a great way to tap into the people you're already working with, but tag them so their friends see you're working together.
Don't be afraid to tag, right? That's a strategy.
Yeah, it's a big strategy.
I like that a lot. That's really good advice. So for folks that are listening, think about your business. Every business is different. Not one size fits all. Is your business a people business?
Yeah,
right.
It's business to business, or one-on-one, referrals, like even referral based. Then that's like the way to do it, is to tag the people you're working with, and shoot a selfie.
Yes, and I'm seeing LinkedIn also start to become very effective that way. LinkedIn, as a way to keep up with Facebook and Instagram, their algorithm is becoming much more favorable.
That's good to know.
So if you're tagging people on LinkedIn, like their network will most likely see it, because they just want also the activity to be shared there.
The funny thing is, I'm not on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, I think you would do well on LinkedIn.
I think I would. I think I'm going to get on it.
Yeah.
I signed up for it in 2009, but that was at that cusp when I did everything, and I was like, this doesn't resonate with me. Yeah. I was like, I can't do it.
So to tie a bow on that, for the people that are afraid to put themselves out there, you feel it's worth it. Do it, right? Try it.
And let the fear guide you. And trust me, like when I was first starting those Facebook Lives, I would sweat. I would sweat and I'd have to change my shirt after. Like, you couldn't see the fear, but it was there. And the people that are tuning in and watching you are already your followers, are already your supporters.
Right.
And they're going to love you and love what you have to put out there, and they're going to watch you.
Yeah, and those people care. And guess what? The people that are haters, they don't care anyways.
Oh, and they don't watch.
Yeah, they don't watch anyways.
They scroll.
Exactly.
So the people that are going to tune in are only the people that care and that like you.
Yep, that's great advice. That's a good perspective to have for sure. How do you stay consistent and find the time for all this? Because you're super consistent. Are you scheduling posts in advance? Do you have your week planned out? Do you have a schedule?
Yes. I have what I call a default calendar. I learned this from a business coach years ago, and I just re-implemented it for 2020. I haven't used it in the last couple years because things were just so crazy. We moved, we did all this. But, you set your default calendar, like what would your perfect day look like, but every day is different. Your Monday, your Tuesday, your Sunday, and block off. You have to do time blocking.
Yeah, we were just talking about that in the other podcast with Adam, that you need to command your own time and block out the things for yourself.
I mean, I get inquiries all the time from people that want to work with me, and they go, "Hey, can I take you to coffee?" I only do coffees on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Coffees are dangerous.
Yes.
Like
so you have to, because next thing you know, your whole week is coffees. Next thing you know, other people are controlling your schedule. Emails can do that too. So you got a time block.
Absolutely.
So for me, I like to stick to Marketing Mondays, where I try to build up my newsletters. I write, I create the space, I create the time where I can sit down and do these things. And then I have my studio manager who helps me schedule the posts. But on Facebook now, those the business accounts are not getting the push, and
the pages, you mean?
The pages aren't getting the views they used to get.
Gotcha.
So now I'm not concentrating so much on my page. I'm concentrating on my personal account.
So you're posting all your professional stuff on Michelle Citrin personal.
Yeah, because that's where all my friends are anyway, and all my followers. And then I queue it up to Instagram also. But you get into a routine. So I stick to the rule that very early in the morning, like as I'm having my coffee in the morning, I make a post.
Every morning.
I try to.
Once a day.
Twice a day. Because I try to do it first thing in the morning, and as I'm winding down, like once the work day ends, I post again, because that's when people are on social media, before work and after work.
Is it spur of the moment for you, or have something queued up?
It is spur of the moment, but I have in my mind too, and sometimes I'll look at my feed. I go, what did I just post?
Gotcha.
Okay, I can't post 3 selfies in a row. That's crazy. And
right.
you got to switch it up. So especially with my real estate account now, I'm being very strategic about what I'm posting, and I'm keeping that aesthetic. I want a specific aesthetic.
Right.
And for me, I'm really sticking with professional pictures of myself, like, great shots of myself, great shots of, listings and real estate. And then I love the food in Asheville. So like I want food and restaurant reviews. And so those are like the 3 things I'm sticking to. So you also simplify it. Like you really only need a couple main things to post.
Yep.
So you kind of stick to that. But yes, I do pretty much spur of the moment. My studio manager has it where she, she helps me queue up.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I like the food idea, because that's value add that ties into real estate, where you're not necessarily, here's a listing, but here if you're following
visiting Asheville.
Exactly. If you're interested in the Asheville area, by the way, if you are interested in the Asheville area, you should definitely hit up Michelle, right? And we'll put her info in the description of the podcast.
But it's all value added. So when you are thinking about content,
how can I add value?
And since I mostly work with women for photography, and then with my Asheville stuff, I love Asheville so much, and I fell in love with Asheville, and that's why I became a real estate agent. Is I want to be your go-to advisor for as your tour guide.
Right.
Like, let me tell you what's awesome about Asheville. So for that, it's like, I want to blog more, and I want to be known for, those things.
Hey, I guess it worked on me, because when I was visiting North Carolina, you were you were the first person I hit up. First of all, yes, I fell in love with North Carolina. It's absolutely beautiful. But when I was visiting, I'm like, okay, I'm interested in going to Charlotte and Asheville. Better text Michelle.
And I have a list that I send, because I get all my Miami friends always text me, because they come in the summers.
Makes sense,
and I have my pre-done list that I just send to everybody.
Then you probably curate it depending on if they have.
I do, because you had kids.
Family. Right, exactly.
Yeah, so I was like, wait, let me think about what the kids could do. Yeah, but I did say in that email, it's like, all the breweries are kid friendly.
That's awesome. All right, so those are good tips on as far as like organizational structures. You stay consistent. You have in your mind what you want to post. All things that are value added.
And maybe I should stop there, because I've been doing this for 10 years. So now it has become normal.
It's like muscle
natural.
memory.
It's muscle memory.
Yeah.
So, but when I first start out, and even I did this in the beginning of the year, so I should say this is, you start with what your brand message is and write your 3 words, and also think about your target market, who your ideal client is, and think about.
Let's hit on that real quick. 3 words. Why 3 words? Like,
because you have to simplify. You have to simplify everything.
Yeah.
So what is your brand in 3 words? What is your, the message you're sending to people? What is the feeling you're sending to people? Gotcha. Is it energetic, enthusiastic, inspiring?
I think we need to do that, Brian. I need to write down 3 words on what is lessons via leaders. I think
because
then
you can always reference it back, and you have to make things simple.
Let's do it. Inspirational.
Educational? I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. Inspirational, educational, authentic.
Yeah, authentic, because you guys are authentic. So that's it. And then you guys write those down, and you always keep that in mind. It's the same thing when you get leads or people that reach out to you like, I want to be on your podcast. You're like, is that in line with inspirational, educational, and authentic?
I've had to start doing that. I've had to start turning down people who wanted to come on because it doesn't fit with exactly. It doesn't fit on brand or with the audience.
And then you also want to ask yourself, who is your ideal clientele? So then you say, who do we want listening to this? And is it entrepreneurs that are in this age range? Is it female entrepreneurs? Is it male entrepreneurs? And then from there, you can create content that speaks to them. So when I work with female entrepreneurs, I'm only writing inspiring messages, #girlboss, like just great things. Oh, people love pictures of my cat. Like that's the things that resonate with my followers.
Brian's been trying to get me to post more pictures of the dog.
Yeah, because that's part of the family, part of the behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. There's a mix of, I think like the most successful people with personal brand, there's a mix of polish and rawness.
Oh, that's what you need.
Right.
That's why you need the behind the scenes shots, but then you need professional imagery, or at least really beautiful imagery and really nice, graphics and content and still life shots and all that stuff. You need to mix that in with the rawness, which I think stories are great for rawness. They disappear. You can just come live. You can and Facebook Live is great for that. Be raw, be real, say slip up. And then you have a beautiful shot of you.
Just be human, be authentic.
Be human, be authentic.
That's the most important thing.
But because I don't want to make sure people that are listening get that, like this, I've been doing this for 10 years, so it has muscle memory. But at the beginning of the year, I look at my 3 words, but then I write down a brain dump. I dump all the ideas I have for social media marketing and I have for the topics. Like what do I want to talk about, and what is my plan for the year? And I write that down on a notepad so that if I ever am in a position that I have, a brain fart where I'm like, I can't think of anything to write about or post about. I just look at that piece of paper and I'm able to go, oh, great. I was going to talk about how this is, like how to inspire women, or behind the scenes shot, or testimonial. Oh yeah, I haven't posted a testimonial in a while. So you have a list you can reference to, or if you are very type A and you queue up your posts in advance, you just go down the line.
Right. Some people do that. They'll load up the next 10 posts. And
that's just a great idea, especially if you hire somebody to work for you. They should be doing that.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Are you a pen and paper person or are you digital?
Pen and paper, but then I'll transfer it digitally. I do like Google spreadsheets to keep things organized. But when the creativity flows, it's got to be pen and paper.
Here's another one. You are so good with your digital content and posting on social media. How do you just detox from that? Shut it off and just not pay attention? Because that's important too.
That's super important. So, I mean, it's hard.
Especially when your job and income depend on it.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, my husband sometimes will catch me on social media at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And I was like, I just made a post. And I said, babe, it's going to create leads. And I need to respond to
There's
these people.
ROI here, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, this is part of my business. But you really need to have that time off.
Yes.
And really, when you post on social media, you don't need to sit on it. You need to like stay on for 5 minutes or check back in 10 minutes later and comment on a few things because it pushes the algorithm up.
Right.
So you have a 10, 20 minute window that it does that. And then check back in. But you really again, time blocking.
There's a 10 to 20 minute window within
when you post it.
When you post it.
If
interesting.
It gets, and this could be out of date now information, but when you post it within the first 10, 15 minutes, if it starts getting likes and it starts going viral, even though if it's only 10 likes, 20 likes, you want to get that momentum going because then they're going to Facebook and everybody's going to push it up to the top of everybody's feed.
And you want to start engaging with every single person.
You want to start engaging immediately.
Right.
And then you can let it sit.
Right.
And then it'll do the magic. And then you check on it again at lunch or you check on it again. But it depends if it's an important post. If it is just a selfie or it's just something that you're not doing, so you do the 80-20 rule. 80% is just fun, inspiring posts.
Right.
The 20% is real engagement where you're hoping people are it has a call to action.
Yep.
And with the call to action, those are the ones you kind of want to, check on and make sure you're responding to people that want to work with you. But if you do want, you just want to react in those first 20 minutes.
Right. Plus, people want to know that if they are going to comment on your post and talk to you, that they're actually going to get some engagement back.
But also, it's not your responsibility to reply immediately.
Right. You don't have to.
You don't have to reply immediately. So you have to be okay with that. And then I do, like I talked about my default calendar and time blocking, Saturday is my day off. And it's like I'm big in hikes and unplugging. And I use social media as a tool for my business. And I've had friends say to me when we go out to dinner, they're like, wow, you're really not on your phone as much as I thought you'd be. I was like, it's all for business. It's strategy. Like, let's take a selfie. Let's take some pictures. And I'm putting my phone away and I'll post it later.
That's a really important thing that you just mentioned. You got to be able to know what is social media. It's not an end all be all. It's not just our way of life these days as far as like how we brand ourselves. You have to use it as a tool.
And start with why. Why am I doing this?
Why am I doing it? Right? Not just blindly just says I want to get likes or anything like that.
And I think kids do that maybe these days. Like I think a lot of younger kids are just like, they just want the likes.
Right. And that makes sense because they haven't found out what they want to use it for. What is their ROI? Right now it is all for popularity or status,
like status symbol,
exactly.
Being an influencer.
Correct. So it's interesting, and I think a lot of people do need to make that distinction. Social media can be a very, very useful platform if you use it as a tool. Something that you need to get something done with versus like being consumed by it, right? And there's a distinction there. And we talked about people making that shift about how to get over that fear. When you start thinking about it as a tool, I think maybe that helps you.
Yeah, and it's just, and you have to start with why. Like, why am I posting? And I was just talking to a friend recently. She says she's painfully shy, but she wants to build her business and she wants to have more clients. And I said, so start with why. So like, it's a business tool. So then it's like, and start small. Like she's petrified. She's like, I've never posted a selfie in my entire life. And I said, well, start with that. It's scary. And if that's the biggest thing you're scared of, post one.
Yep.
And I was like, and share things about your life. And like, she's a twin. And I said, do you know how many people I bet don't know you're a twin? Post a picture of you and your brother. That's just cool, fun content,
People want to connect with other human beings and they want to do business with other human beings. They don't want to do business.
Like.
Exactly.
They want to make sure. I've had so many people reach out on Instagram for the real estate, for my real estate account. They have complimented me on my feed, but they say, I love the way you do social media because I'm being very intentional there. And they're like, and I think we would get along. Like, I think you would get me.
Yeah.
You would get me. And I was like, wow, thank you. Because I'm trying to be real.
For sure. And I'm not your target audience by any means, but I remember that we were at Zach's wedding, right? And we were at the bar, you, me, and Nicole. And I had to say, Michelle, I got to stop you for a second. I just got to give you props on your email newsletter because you were crushing those email newsletters like super consistently. And they weren't just like, hey, I'm Michelle Citrin, I do photography.
Or like, buy for me.
They were like stories. You know what I mean? Like really, you were so good and you still are good at storytelling,
Yeah. And then, I use the newsletters like blogs.
Right.
I'm like, I'm going to just send this blog right to your email and you're going to get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Love that. I would like really quickly, we could do this live. Give me some advice, right? Like right now I've got this podcast going, right? Lessons via leaders. Brian and I were talking about this and we haven't really figured out the right formula, but we created an Instagram for Lessons via leaders. We created a separate account. We created a separate Twitter, a separate Facebook page. Is that the right strategy? And I should keep my personal for my personal account for personal photos of me and my family and then build the Lessons via Leaders brand on its own? Should I be posting all these podcast clips on my personal and mixing it in? Or should I be doing both? What should I be doing?
A little bit of both, I think, because I found about this because we're friends.
Right.
And then I was like, I'm really interested in this. And I love what you're doing. And don't forget, like your friends are going to be your first supporters.
Yes.
And then also on the Lessons via Leaders Instagram, people want to see who you are and see, I love the shots of you, like the still shots, where you guys take pictures with the people you're interviewing.
Right.
I think that's great. And then I think the working of it, like behind the scenes helps.
People want to see how this is built.
How it's built
done,
and who you guys are. And,
right.
But I do think you should post to your social page too. I mean, you don't want to post all your pictures of your kids on Lessons via Leaders.
No, we don't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't post anything there.
But
should I be not posting on Lessons via Leaders and only on my personal page, or should I be trying to build both accounts at the same time?
Probably both at the same time. And I also think don't overthink it.
What about, so I guess I do overthink it because then I worry about what if people are following both accounts, they'll be annoyed by seeing the same content over and over.
But don't forget, nobody's seeing everything.
That's true, right? The algorithm.
Right. Like no one's seeing everything, and you might hit people differently.
Right, correct.
And also don't forget Facebook and Instagram, they reshare, or like with the algorithm, you see things all the time.
Right.
Again, like I'm like, oh, I thought the news feed was like new, and you log in and you're like, oh, it's still all the old stuff. And you're not going to like hate on you for seeing it again. It's just that you just assume that's the algorithm. But I think using you should be doing both because it is who you are, and you should share why you're doing this again. And because you shared that with me before we started, and nobody knows that. And why are you doing this? And share those things on your personal page and say, tune in and grow it that way too.
That's good advice. Thank you for that. You talked about finding your niche. That's super important, right? Want to talk about differentiating yourself in a very competitive market. Photography is competitive. Real estate is competitive,
real estate's
right?
Even more, yeah.
Right. It's the total cutthroat kind of industry. There's tons of real estate agents out there.
Oh, so
feels
many.
like everybody's a photographer these days. Right?
I used to say that about photography. And now that I've become a real estate agent, I'm like, oh my God, everyone's literally a real estate agent.
So tell me about how do you differentiate yourself in a competitive market? Because I think you do a great job doing so.
Well, you start with who you want to work with,
right? And
I always do this. I write, I make an avatar for them, and I say this is who I want. And what I did was I took my top 3 clients.
What does that mean? Make an avatar.
Make an avatar. So I took my top 3 clients with photography. When I decided I wanted to niche down, I said I loved working with this girl Lori, and I loved working with this woman here, and I said, why did I love working with them? I said, okay, what was it about them? Okay, they were 35 years old and they had 1 kid, or maybe they didn't have a kid. And then I was like, they were easy to work with, they were nice people, and they were real. So then everything I push out, I pretend I talk to Lori. And if she's tuning in, it's funny because this is a true story.
Shout out to Lori.
She was one of the first ones that trusted me with my work, found me online and worked with me. And she was like a godsend, like an angel. And that was one of the first ones years ago. And so then I speak to her that way. Every time I'm creating content, I'm like, I'm just talking to Lori. I'm just creating content for her. And then, so to niche down, and also when you niche down, you're very searchable. So you're very memorable.
Right.
So when you go into a networker or you are posting on social media or you have a website and you're like, I'm a photographer. I do it all. I do weddings. I do bar mitzvahs. I do headshots. I do automobile photography. What else do they do? What else?
Like you're screaming into the void.
You're like, I just do everything. I do it all. And versus when you become so niche down, you become the go-to person. Like you become the go-to person for women in business headshots. Yeah. Like that's it.
Like you've become that in Asheville. You are it. You are
in Miami. I am, which is because I've built the business here in Asheville. I'm building that up too. But same thing with real estate. Like I want to be known as the girl or the Florida girl, like even Florida girl who's come to Asheville. So I love working with transplants, people that are new to town because I was there. I love first-time home buyers because we just bought our first home, and I love listings. So like I can niche down really far, right? Where it's like, I can really work with you. And then when you niche down, it's so much easier to find you and to remember. That's the thing is because there is a lot of competition and somebody comes with that one pain point that says, I have this one issue I need fixed and I need to hire a professional for this, or I need to buy this certain kind of product. Oh, I know the exact company or the exact person to call because all they post on social media is this one thing. And again, people don't see everything you post.
That's true.
So they only see that one post you post. You post 20 times a week, but they see the one that reminds them, hey, I do this one special thing.
That just goes back to what you're saying. You got to be consistent. You got to post often, right? You know how I know you're crushing it is because I'm starting to see people that you work with that, like I know from like the tech scene that are starting to work with you, like Max from Caribou. She, I saw you posted a picture of her and you did a shoot with her. She's awesome. Yeah. She's building a really cool company down here. So yeah, you're definitely doing a great job. And how do you start reaching your ideal customers, right? Like people that want to work and buy with you, like for example, how do you find these new prospects? Right. You talked a lot about like working with your network, but there was some strategy we talked about there with like tagging people and then growing your reach and things like that.
Tagging people's the biggest thing on Facebook. Right. So tag, if you have lunch with someone or you worked with somebody on a project, tag them on a behind the scenes shot or something like that. But then also with Instagram, it's for me, it's about hashtagging
Mm-hmm.
and then like hashtagging, but then also it's the content you're putting out to
Right.
make sure that once they see you, you match the type of person you want to attract.
Right.
And you say like, is my ideal client, once they see my news feed, are they gonna resonate with this? So for hashtags, I mean, I don't know if I'm speaking to people that already know what to do. And
No, a lot of people surprisingly don't know the strategy.
my strategy is I never hashtag Miami photographer. I never hashtag Asheville real estate agent. I hashtag Asheville foodie, hashtag Asheville life, hashtag Asheville local, Asheville trails, Asheville, like things that my people are going to be searching.
Right.
So then I do that too with Miami. It's hashtag girl boss. It's hashtag mompreneur,
Right.
Women in business. Those are the things I hashtag where you want to be searchable.
And for the people that think hashtags are kind of ridiculous because we see them everywhere now, they're actually very effective because Instagram, I think it was 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, they've allowed users to now follow hashtags. So people can follow a hashtag, like for example, Asheville foodie, like you just mentioned.
Which I follow all my hashtags that I do.
So there you go. So all of a sudden you're now populated with people you don't follow on an account basis, but you follow on an interest graph basis.
Exactly.
So if people that are interested in food in Asheville, they're going to see your posts.
Well, and I got a potential $1 million buyer from California.
Right.
And she was following hashtag Asheville food. And she's like, she went to my account and was just like, wow, I really like this girl. And she reached out to me and was like, we're thinking of moving to Asheville.
That's awesome.
This is our budget.
That's cool.
Like, amazing. Perfect. I can help you.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So for people that are listening and they want to get started, they want to brand themselves, like you talked about your friend and, she wants to post her first thing. Like what advice would you give for people that are listening that are like, you know what, today's the day. Today's the day where I'm going to start branding myself. I'm going to be proud of who I am and what I stand for. What's my first step?
Is just do it.
Just do it.
Don't overthink it. Because that conversation I had with my friend, she literally said to me, okay, I'm going to write my list of the 3 things I'm going to post for you.
Right.
And then, do you mind reviewing it? I said, no, I'm not. I was like, I will review it. But I was like, can you just post anything tonight? Something that is in your camera roll. I guarantee you have something in your camera roll. Just freaking post it.
Yep.
Just post it and have a nice message. And she said to me too, because I said, you live in Miami Beach. Why don't you post the sunset of Miami Beach? She goes, isn't that bragging? And I said, no, it's the content you put with it. So I was like, yeah, if you say, na boo boo, I live in Miami.
Right.
Sorry, you guys are in snow. Yeah, that's mean. But if you say,
hashtag I live where you vacation, right?
Yeah,
That's
like
those,
don't do that. It's say then like grateful to be here. And like her thing is sports and education. And she has a PhD in sports medicine. I said, why don't you share a fact that says studies show 5 minutes outside shows XYZ improvement in your health.
Right.
And I said, post that with a sunset picture of Miami Beach.
Right.
Boom.
Yep.
And people will be like, wow, I didn't know that. Maybe I should get outside more. And then you're actually inspiring people, you're giving value, and you're helping your followers.
It goes back to the point we spoke about earlier. You don't have to resonate with all of your followers. You don't have to resonate with all. And I think a lot of people do that. They're like, I have 500 followers. How can I post something that will make all of them feel good or happy, right?
And what is that meme? You can't make everybody happy. You're not pizza.
Exactly.
It's like, you're not going to make everybody happy.
Right.
And I've had men come up to me and say, that's sexist. You don't photograph men. And I said, first of all, I do photograph men, but that's not my target market.
Right.
Like, and I said, well, you can still join me for a session, but are you going to play by my rules? Are you going to do the style call where we're going to talk about your wardrobe? Are you open to do a 1 hour photo shoot? Most men don't want to be bothered with what to wear. They don't want to be bothered. So I'm like, you're not my target market, like, because you're not into it and you're not appreciative of this extra service I'm giving. Because the women I work with are these ultimate successful boss babes, but they are terrified to be photographed.
Right.
So I'm putting that extra step as my expertise to like calm them down. And like men don't necessarily need that, or they need to be lifted up. Women need to be lifted up.
I love that.
Or encouraged.
I love that. A lot of good lessons here. Michelle, if people want to look you up and find you, how could they find you?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm on Facebook, Instagram. Do you want me to list it?
Oh,
I'm on Facebook, Instagram. You can tag it. Those are, and I stick to the rule that I don't try to do every platform. So like I said, I'm not on LinkedIn, but I probably will get on it now. But I'm on that. And I think I'll start, I think I'm going to start doing a YouTube channel.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think you absolutely should.
Start, because that's the next thing, because that's YouTube lives forever because it's a search engine.
Right.
So now I'm like, that's the next step for
me.
me.
And Google highly favors YouTube videos because, it's an own property. Any other topic or subject you want to hit on before we wrap?
No, I think because I pulled you back in when I was like, I got to say this to the people. But yeah, sure. I think that's it.
Awesome. Definitely follow Michelle. We'll drop all of her info in the description of the podcast. She does a great job. You should definitely look her up if you're looking for photography or you're looking in the Asheville area for real estate.
Please.
She photographs women, but also makes an exception sometimes for men.
Yeah, the right kind of guys.
Right, in Asheville and the Miami area. So look her up. And she also has been doing this new thing on her Facebook, Marketing Mondays, right?
Marketing Mondays with Michelle.
Yes.
So they're like 10-minute videos, just tips and tricks, like kind of what we went into.
Yep.
But they're little things. I just break it down per subject.
Yep.
Every Monday.
So Michelle gives a lot of great examples about how you can market yourself and just tips and tricks on how you can be more effective on social media. Yeah. So I definitely recommend checking her out. She's a great person to connect with. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. This was fun.